Winter doesn't mean your garden has to take a break, especially in Florida. December is the perfect time to plant your cool season champions like kale, carrots, and herbs, while also getting a head start on your spring garden by starting seeds for the slow growers like eggplants and peppers. Let's keep production strong during these short, chilly days and set the stage for future harvests. In today's video, I'll talk through some of my favorite crops we should be planting in the month of December in Florida. I'll also use a portion of the video to talk about some of the things we should be doing this month to get ready for our spring garden. Let's get into it. December in Florida is the month that has the least amount of sunlight and the least amount of rainfall. So both of those things are going to influence the garden plan for this month. Leafy greens like lettuce, arugula, kale, spinach, those will do really well if planted right now in December. I would even encourage you to go for a Chinese cabbage like bok choy or joy choy. Bok choy is really easy to grow, and I haven't even had any issues with pests this year. I put some food grade diatomaceous earth on top of the soil to prevent any pests, and really I think the only thing I'm getting is a bunny comes into my yard every night and chews through the bok choy. Lacinato kale is one of my favorites as well. It's really easy to spot any pest issues that might show up on this variety because it's got these nice flat leaves that you can easily just flip over and inspect for bugs, and it even gets a little bit sweeter with the cool temperatures. Kale is one of the most shade tolerant vegetables, so if you have a spot in your garden that's kind of vacant right now and has maybe the least amount of sunlight, you could choose to put kale in that one and it would be a good choice. Leafy greens can benefit from added nitrogen, so consider adding earthworm castings or blood meal or some other source of organic nitrogen fertilizer at the beginning and every few weeks when you're planting. But don't be surprised if the growth is still a little bit slow. It's going to be primarily due to the fact that we have low sunlight in December. The next focus is going to be our root crops. Our root crops love cooler temperatures, but you are probably going to want to seek out the sunniest spot in your garden for them. Right here I've got radishes, which I love to plant over and over again because they reach harvest so quickly. Last year I planted several different rounds of radishes before I felt like I finally got the hang of it. So this year I'm confident I'm going to get it right the first try. If you've had troubles in the past with bulbing root crops, I'd love to know about your story and what worked for you in the comments below. Turnips are another root veggie that you can plant in December. Turnips take a little bit longer than radishes, but they seem to be a little bit more versatile in flavor. Radishes are spicy and a lot of people don't even like to eat them, but turnips you can cook almost like a potato. And similar to radishes, it's kind of a 2-for-1 with their tops and their bulbs. You can eat both portions of it. If you haven't grown turnips before, I highly recommend giving them a shot. When we're talking about root veggies, there's no way we can forget to talk about beets and carrots. These are golden beets right here, but I've also got some early wonder beets that are that traditional red color. And then here is a Carota carrot, which is actually more of a heat tolerant variety. While we're talking about root crops, we can't forget to talk about bulbing onions. If you haven't planted yours in the ground, December is really probably the time to do it. Mine, I've been waiting until they got a little bit stronger. So I've been feeding them with a fish emulsion fertilizer to help beef up the greens before I transplant them. And I also ordered some backup sets from Haas.com. I'm actually pretty pleased with how they look now. This is a big improvement from last month, so I'm sure they'll be ready to plant soon. The 3 varieties I chose this year are the Texas 1015 yellow, the red grano, and an early white grano, all of which I purchased from Jarrah's Seeds. If you haven't planted your garlic yet, December is the time to get it in the garden. Mine's still vernalizing in the fridge, but I'm probably going to plant mine here in the next week. We also need to be focusing a lot on planting any herbs we might want in the month of December. For perennial herbs here in Florida, I highly recommend planting some rosemary, some oregano, and some chives. These each have been going for at least 2 years, and they're so easy to grow. Rosemary, you hardly even have to water it, and the chives and the oregano are doing well in a planter with a watering olla. These watering ollas are on sale right now for Black Friday at 25% off, so I'll put a link in the description box below if you want to pick one up. I've got to say, it's one of the easiest ways to grow your perennial herb. I used to have these in my raised bed, but I ended up not really liking it in my raised bed because they would last longer than all the other crops. And then when it came time to amend the soil in the garden, I was having to work around the herbs, and it just makes the job even more difficult if you're trying to add a couple inches of compost or a couple inches of mulch throughout the garden and you're dodging all of your perennial herbs. So I would recommend putting them in a planter with an Oya, and if it's an annual herb, go ahead and put it in your raised bed. If you love cilantro as much as I do, you need to get the seeds in the ground this month. Cilantro loves cooler temperatures and it'll bolt as soon as the temperatures get too hot. We should also be thinking about dill. Dill is a really great companion plant for cucumbers, and most of us are going to plant our cucumbers in like February or March. So let's go ahead and get that dill started in the month of December so that it's ready to be planted alongside a fast-growing cucumber. Sage and parsley are also two herbs that should be planted in the month of December. Okay, now that we figured out that we should be planting leafy greens, root veggies, and our herbs in the month of December, what we need to be focusing on for seed starting is some of those really slow growing crops that need to be transplanted in the month of February or March. In particular, I'm really talking about peppers and eggplants. They grow so slowly from seed. They're going to need 2 to 3 months in a seed starting cell before they reach the right size for your garden. Last year I grew a Black Beauty eggplant, and man, that one single plant gave me so many eggplants. It was so productive, I'll probably try one more plant of the exact same variety. Right here is my shishito pepper plant. It's one of my favorites. This thing is over a year old actually, so I'm probably gonna start a new one just in case this one doesn't survive the winter. I also got another jalapeno plant. Last year I had done an early jalapeno variety and it worked really well. I just think I want some bigger jalapenos, so I bought a variety from Botanical Interest called Megatron, I think, Megatron jalapeno. And for bell peppers, my Cali Wonder bell peppers really didn't do well. I've heard a lot of gardeners struggle with the Cali Wonder bell peppers in Florida. So this year I'm going to try the Carolina Wonder bell peppers. I'll put a link to those in the description box if you're interested in picking up some seeds for those. The Carolina bell peppers were bred to resist root knot nematodes, so they should do a little bit better in our Florida soil. I'm also interested in adding some fun hot pepper varieties for the garden, but I honestly don't know where to start. So if you have some peppers you recommend, please drop a comment below. Let me know if I should be buying habanero or if I should be buying like a Thai chili. I'd love to know your take and what you might have grown in your garden successfully. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.